what I would call the reptilians, they are not all powerful and they are not omnipotent. They are very sad entities who are stuck in a box, and it's a box of great limitation. And it's interesting. The more you talk about this, the more you keep coming back to the same things, and the more the dots connect. Humans have been locked in to the reptilian hive mind from the moon, I would say. And so let's look at humans. They are locked into the left side of the brain, which is about limitation, it's about technology and all this stuff. Well, that's where the reptilians are. They're just in a bigger perception of what's possible in that left brain arena. And so what they've done is transferred their perception to humans, because it's a hive mind that connects the two. This is what's going on. And so, in effect, they have put humans in a smaller box than they're in so that they can control humans. But these guys are still in a box, because if they could access what the human right brain can access, they would not for a second even conceive the possibility that they would want to entrap, enslave, slaughter, and make suffer and control the earth and its human population. You wouldn't even consider it, because you would understand we're all one and what you're doing. So we're looking at desperately, desperately limited people who are controlling us by putting us in a smaller box than they're in. And as humans awaken, we go beyond their box. And this is why they're terrified. I mean, in the book, as I go through it, different stages, quoting different things at different times of the story, whether it's ancient or modern information, there is a common theme that these reptilian entities are terrified of humanity as a whole realizing who their controllers are. This is a big thing, and people say, why don't they just come and take over? Well, they would, but they can't. There are reasons why they can't. There are reasons why they've had to create hybrid bloodlines, what I call the Illuminati bloodlines, to act as middle men and women, overwhelmingly men, but women too, to act as middlemen, demigods, to run the system that enslaves humanity while they operate in the background. There's a reason why they have to operate in the background. What's coming is a transformation which is going to energetically bring their house of cards down, and they're terrified. And I have no doubt whatsoever, after 20 years of this, that it's no accident, no coincidence, that it is at the time that these truth vibrations, as I call them, this energetic transformation, is starting to impact more and more on human perception, that we're also seeing on the other, quote, side, the fiercer and fiercer imposition of the Orwellian state, the control, the desire to microchip people, i.e. access the body computer so they can manipulate it and stop us accessing these truth vibrations. That's what the real reason for the microchip agenda is, or there are many reasons. That's the key one. They're doing it not out of power. Hey, we're in control. That's what they like to give out. But these frightened little boys are desperately trying to keep the lid on this vibrational change, because they know that when enough people have started to be affected by it, their game is up.
100 monkeys. Yeah,
and you'll remember this, but when I saw it, I thought, oh my goodness me, this is so profound. The movie A Bug's Life, where there's all these goodness knows how many ants on this island they called Ant Island, and these handful of grasshoppers used to come every year and take the food that they had told and threatened and intimidated the ants to spend the year collecting, and off they would go. And then this one year, these grasshoppers are inside this tree during the winter. And they had all the food they needed. Because people say, why do these people, these bankers and all these people, they've got all the money, they could 100 lifetimes to spend it, and they want more and more and more. Yes, because in the end, if you go to the deep core of it, it's not about money, it's about control. If we get all the money, it means the population ain't getting it, and therefore their potential for choice in their lives is desperately limited. That's what it's about at the core. So anyway, in A Bug's Life, they're in this tree, and one of the people goes to the leader and says, "We don't have to go to an island this year because we've got all the food we need." And the leader said, basically, "Is anyone else thinking like this?" "Well, yeah, boss." So he then comes out and addresses them, and if anyone wants to see it, what this guy says in this address is magnificent in encapsulating the reason why things happen as they do in the world. And he basically said, because when the last time they went, one ant had stood up when they came for the food and said, "Why are you doing this? This is not fair, basically. Why are we standing for this?" So the leader stands up and addresses the grasshoppers, and he says that one ant stood up last time, and if one ant does it and they all do it, then basically we're in trouble. And there's a great line where he said, "They outnumber us 100 to 1, and if ever they figure that out, there goes our way of life." And so, the idea is they have to go and keep the screw on these people, and these ants in this case, so that they don't lift their head and see what's going on, or get together and collectively resist what's going on. And there's been a lot of talk in over the years, and I talk about it in the book, about an agenda for the culling of the human race. Vast reduction in human numbers.
It's begun already.
Yeah, it's being done already, absolutely, on so many different levels, including mobile phones, by the way, what I call the silent holocaust. The collective cumulative consequences for that is just horrendous. Anyway,
fluoride, genetically modified food, the list goes on and on.
Yeah. The reason they want to do it is they outnumber us 100 to 1, and if they figure that out, there goes our way of life. The number of people on this planet being manipulated ratio to the number of people doing the manipulating is absolutely enormous. The number of manipulators in full knowledge of what they're doing is tiny. And, the number of entities related to this whole moon thing is nothing like the human population. They can't cope with the numbers that are here now. So they want to cull them. And I feel myself that they've done it before. And it's like it gets to a certain point where it's overwhelming, and then they just cull the population. This time, however, it's at a different point in the cycle, and there's going to be a different outcome.
Well, if you look at records of the Black Plague and things like that, a lot of people were blaming it on the miasma. They were seeing lights in the sky, and then this mist would come in, and then huge groups of people would get the Black Plague, and they're saying it's entirely caused by fleas and this sort of thing now. But when you look at the historical records and the individual accounts of what actually happened by those who were alive at the time, it leads you to think that perhaps this was another one of those cullings.
I think there's a very good chance that it was. This is another point that I strongly make in the book, and I think and in my talks as well, and I think it's something that can give a greater understanding of what we're dealing with. We talked about the technological advancement that they have compared with human limitation. Well, they operate overwhelmingly, because I say the moon is an interdimensional portal as well. It's the way they come in and out.